We're live, pal.
We're live, pal. If I would go to the right channel and test it real quick.
What?
What? Yeah.
What?
Okay, no, we are live, apparently. And it hears us both. Okay. If you joined us on the original stream, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, but we have figured out a solution anyway. Unfortunately, Brian will be joining us via audio this time around. But once again, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at OMG CBD. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later. First link in the description below to check out all of your CBD and OMG needs. But we were just getting into the old Elimination Chamber, which will be starting in just under an hour. So let's run through this. First match we have is the Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. We have the current champion Austin Theory defending his title against Seth Rollins, Johnny No Face, Bronson Who Gives a Shit, Damian Priest, and one half of the Street Profits.
So, again, I think Austin Theory is going to come up on top. There's been big rumors about having Theory and Seth Rollins at Mania,
which is a match I would like to see. And I think they could build that up quite well. So, but
yeah, and they've already been kind of teasing it a little bit here and there.
They've been teasing a lot here and there, which I've enjoyed.
Yeah, Damian's not going to win it. He has no need for it.
Johnny
just being Johnny. Who else is in it?
Well, we know Montez Ford isn't going to win it because he's half of a tag team.
It's nothing against him. It's unless they do some kind of big surprise.
I can't see it.
They just need him in there for the flippy dippy bullshit.
Yeah, but again, as followers of this show know, I've never really liked the Street Profits. Never really understood, but like I don't know. Even when they were in NXT, I didn't care for it.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I still think Austin Theory will win it.
Yeah, I think we'll see Austin Theory retain. I think that's a pretty safe bet. And then, like you said, yeah, Damian Priest doesn't need it. He's doing his thing with Judgment Day, and I think that would be a distraction. Seth doesn't need it. The only reason he would win it is to further a rivalry with Theory. And who else did we say was in that match? Nobody cares about Bronson Reed because I saw a video online where literally they showed his entrance. It was a fan video in the audience, and the audience was no noise at all.
Well, nothing against Bronson Reed. He's a great wrestler. I like the way he works. He's a big guy. He moves fast. I feel like he's getting tossed in there as a big guy.
Yeah, and I want to remind everybody, when we're bitching about wrestlers, generally speaking, it's not the wrestler themselves, it's the booking, how they're being presented, and like Bronson Reed, like I joke and I say, Bronson, who the hell cares? But it's not anything he's doing wrong. It's the way that they're presenting him. Why should we care about Bronson Reed? I've not seen anything to, give me a reason to care when he's on television.
Exactly. And like when he first debuted back, like it was a big thing. Yeah, I completely agree. But like they haven't done anything with him. Like in my opinion, Miz technically brought him back to help him win it, but then they didn't do shit with the story. Ooh, Bronson came back, and then that was it.
Right, and now he's just kind of being thrown in, which begs the question as to why he's even in Elimination Chamber. And this is kind of a beef I've had with both AEW, but WWE's been particularly bad about this lately, because I brought this up before we had to cancel the earlier stream. It's like with the Royal Rumble, shouldn't the Royal Rumble be the main event? Now, there's a caveat on that one because at least the main event was for the world title. But
well, it's always been the Royal Rumble. It's never not been the Royal Rumble for the main event.
Right. Now, again, I kind of give him a pass on this one because it was Roman Reigns, who has been arguably the most important world champion for a long time. But I mean, it was the first match, wasn't it?
The Rumble, yeah.
Yeah.
And like there wasn't any like overly huge surprises that were like, holy shit. I mean, Booker T, yeah, he was a surprise, but like there was nothing like, holy shit, I never expected him to come out or anything. Like, Booker T is somebody I could expect to come out, but did I fully expect him to come out? No.
Yeah, it's like he was a surprise, but a surprise ex-WWE guy. It's not, oh my God, you know. And they had, we predicted that. It was a foregone conclusion that Cody was going to win it because they pretty well said everything. It's like, tell me Cody's going to win without saying Cody's going to win. Which I liked it. Exactly. It was good. It was good promotion because I said it before. I'll say it again. I wasn't going to watch the Royal Rumble. And then I saw that Cody promo. And I was like, oh, well, Cody's going to win the Rumble. So now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But now everybody's watching Elimination Chamber to see what's going to happen with Sami and Roman. So I will say they booked that, like chef's kiss to that. That's beautiful. But let us progress.
I think they booked herself in a corner, but I'll wait till we get to that.
Oh, I think they did too. But so the next match, and again, what I was getting at with that is I don't know if this is the order the matches are going to be in. But if it is, I'm very disappointed in WWE because, again, it's Elimination Chamber. Shouldn't the Elimination Chamber be the main event or at least the semi-main event?
Yeah.
And again, the Elimination Chamber is for the United States title? And I get it because they can't have... Well, they could have had... Oh, go ahead.
They have two Elimination Chambers tonight.
Yeah, but one's a women's.
Yeah, but who's to say who's is supposed to be main event at that point?
Right, but I was gonna say that. Well, hey, yeah, okay, there it is. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you can't have Roman in the Elimination Chamber, but actually you could. It's kind of a shame that Elimination Chamber is after the Royal Rumble because what I would have done if the orders were reversed, I would have had it to where somehow, some way, Heyman pulled strings to get the Usos and Sami in the chamber with Roman. Well, maybe not that many, or I maybe would have had it to where the Usos weren't in it, but it was Roman and Sami was in there, and Sami was expected to help Roman win, and there was a moment where it looked like he might go for it, and then if you had the Royal Rumble, Cody could win, and you could have had the same fallout. But now, you can't do that because you've set up Sami versus Roman, which I get, and the fans are loving it, and I caught Sami's promo, man. And holy shit, like, for a guy who looks just like a guy, the one he did in French in Montreal, I think.
Oh, yeah, that was last night's.
Yes, last night's.
Where he said, fuck?
Yeah. Ooh, man.
I thought that was pretty cool, too.
That's good shit. Wow, I completely lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's no big deal. Wow, I lost it. It'll come back to me because we're not talking about that anyway. But next, allegedly, we have the female Elimination Chamber. So we have, according to this order, we have back-to-back Elimination Chamber matches. So I'm thinking this isn't the match order. Boy, I hope not. But the women's Elimination Chamber match, either. Yeah, because that's, big mistake.
That's a stinker right back to back.
Yeah, for the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. This is a number one contendership match. Oh, my God. So this is for a match at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's title. We have Asuka against Liv Morgan, against Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and Carmella, which, incidentally, all of them were in the Women's Royal Rumble. And they all lost the Women's Royal Rumble. So I guess that kind of actually, I didn't like that, but I guess that kind of makes sense because you would take a bunch of the women that did well in the Rumble, but obviously didn't win it because we all know Rhea Ripley won it, and she's going after Charlotte. So this actually kind of makes sense. I don't know if an Elimination Chamber match is the right way to go, but whatever. We'll see. I have hope because WWE's been delivering.
They have.
So I don't know who's going to win this one. I think Asuka.
That's who my pick is. I think it's going to be Asuka, but the way surprises have been, it could be anybody.
Well, and I'll put it to you this way: this is a match where I wouldn't be surprised if any of these people won it, and in their own ways, they would all be deserving to win it. Because I'm saying Asuka because of the way they brought her back with a lot of fanfare. That just kind of tells me they're up to something with her.
Yeah, I completely agree. I still think I hope it's Asuka, but at this point it could be anybody, and I would be okay with anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because let's look at Liv Morgan. It's no secret I like Liv Morgan. I don't think they've been using her properly, but the fans, for the most part, are behind her. She's a great babyface. I don't know why they presented her as a babyface, but in her last title run, she behaved like a heel, which was weird. And I was like, I don't understand why they're doing this.
Yeah, she kind of had like that tweener feel, like maybe she's heel, maybe she's face.
Well, but what it was is they were presenting her on TV and she was talking like a babyface, but then she did heel tactics to win her title.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't, it would have been so easy, but they booked themselves into a corner because Ronda had the title, and let's be real, to beat Ronda Rousey in a fight, Liv Morgan would probably have to cash in Money in the Bank, and that's what she did. But you're not booking her like a babyface, you're booking her like a heel, but you don't want to turn her heel because she's a babyface. I digress. And then I wouldn't be upset if Nikki Cross won it because she finally has stopped doing that stupid Nikki ASH gimmick, which I hated from day one. I said it was stupid from day one. And when they brought Nikki Cross back and gave her her old gimmick and her old name, I was so happy for her, for the fans, everybody. Raquel Rodriguez, I mean, good pick, solid pick for champion. I don't know that she needs it right now, but I mean, I wouldn't be upset. You know, Natalya just deserves it. And Carmella would be a good heel champion.
Yeah. Well, I think about Natalya, I just think all for her women's world title runs have just been kind of lackluster.
Which surprises me because, I mean, that's an example of this shit books itself. It's Natalya Neidhart. What more do you have to do? Just all she has to do is go in there and kick ass.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. The legacy's there. The pedigree's there. She delivers in the ring every time. Like, and at this point, the fans are like, just let Natalya get something. And I mean, if you go back, she's busted her ass for that women's division day in and day out. And she should have a title. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
And her husband freaking had to retire, literally gave his body to the business. I think he's an agent now, but he had to retire from in-ring. Way too young. You know?
About him, I read something not too long ago that if he wanted to, he could come back.
Well, that would be nice.
That he's just at a place right now where he gets to do more things, but still be able to be on the road and be happy to do what he's doing.
And I can see that because I will say this. I think, for those who don't know, we're talking about Tyson Kidd, who, like, this might be controversial, but I think his name set him up for failure. Because he's good. He's a great wrestler. He can talk. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's believable because he's got the technical skill And don't get me wrong, he's a big guy. But like when you're standing next to your average height being like 6'5", 6'6", you're going to look smaller. And that's not a bad thing. He's very good. He's extremely good. But the name Tyson, I mean, the name Kid is literally in the name.
Yeah.
I never liked it. Tyson's fine. Like I always joke, Kenny Omega has a great pro wrestling name. His real name is Tyson Smith. It's like, why would you change it to Kenny? Not that Kenny Omega's a good name, but it's like when your name, and like Ricochet is Trevor Mann. Like neither one of those are bad names. But Tyson Kidd was just, the name set him up for failure. But yeah, so we both agree we think Asuka's going to take this one.
Yes.
Okay, and then the next match on their list, I'm going to skip and save for last, because that, I guarantee, is going to be the main event. So then we have Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley of the Judgment Day.
Hear me out.
I will, because I was just about to say, now, like, this match, and don't get me wrong, I like the Judgment Day, but this match I just don't care about.
In my opinion, this match could go either way. Here's
Right.
what I think's going to happen. Then. I think Rhea and Finn will beat them. Then I think we will get a match at WrestleMania, which is Edge and Finn Balor.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then that's where Edge gets his one up.
Yep, I can see that. And as a setup match, I can appreciate this because it'll get us. And like, I don't even have to tell you why I think that match will deliver at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But yeah,
then at that point, if you have Edge and about said Nia Jax, Beth Phoenix, if you have them win, then it's like Finn doesn't have anything going into Mania, and that's like, why wouldn't you want Finn on the Mania card somehow?
Right.
Have Edge going into Mania, not on the card somehow. It kind of books itself.
And Tony Khan should really be taking some notes because this match is an example of, okay, so it may not be, and I think a lot of fans want to see this match, so I'm not saying that, but this match may not be what everybody's clamoring for, but it's an essential part of the story to get you there. Because I think it was Brian Alvarez who, I watched a video earlier today where he was talking about the difference between AEW and WWE and their booking styles. AEW is booking matches. WWE is booking storylines. And there's a huge difference. And he said that, and I'm like, that's the perfect way to describe what I'm complaining about with AEW, because I've been calling it TikTok booking. But it's like, oh, what crazy match can we give the fans this week? And it's like, on paper, but it just goes to show the influence of like Kenny and the Bucks and Tony Khan to an extent, because they're booking like an indie.
Here's my thing. You can have a good wrestling match with no story, and you can have a good story with no wrestling match. But when you can do a good wrestling match with a good story, that's where the money brings in.
Yes, that's what Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns match is. It's both, because they're going to have a great match, but it's the story. It's the story that led up to that. And that's Cody's whole return. Like, the match itself, like, don't get me wrong, it was a good match, but that's not what people were watching for. And Brian Alvarez hit it on the head. When you have weekly television, you need to book for the story, because you have to keep people engaged week to week to week. If you're booking a big card every month, then yeah, you're going to book for the match. Because you don't need to convince people to keep watching. You just need to convince people to show up for that event. And that, I think, is the key difference. And if you go back to original AEW, you can see the difference. Cody's stuff was being booked for the storyline, because there were some weeks where Cody or whoever he was involved with didn't even wrestle. They just did a promo. And then meanwhile... go ahead.
Sometimes that's all it takes, though.
Heck, sometimes it wasn't even a promo. Sometimes it was just a vignette, a feature, like a little 1 to 2 minute video. But it advanced the story. Whereas you have, I'm not saying Kenny and the Bucks, for example, wrestle every week, but even when they have a promo, it's usually to set something up for like a match next week. And it's so like nail on the head most of the time that like sometimes it's almost a parody, and sometimes it is a parody, but sometimes it's an unintentional parody because they're like, oh, yeah, you said something about our basketball shoes. Well, how about on Friday on Rampage, we'll kick you with these shoes in a match. And it's just like, but then if you stop, I'm not saying, I don't think that's ever actually happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. And it's like, you know, and I will reiterate again, I want to be a Young Bucks fan. I really, really want to be a Young Bucks fan. But, I mean, it's so frustrating because, as Jim Cornette always says, if you never go away, how can I miss you if you never go away? Speaking of, I'm wearing it.
I've seen.
This is one of the best purchases I've ever made. The thank you, fuck you, bye shirts are still out of stock, though. But where was I? You know, and the Bucks have been doing the same thing for 4 years, essentially. And like
their whole career?
Well, I meant weekly in AEW, because I'll be real, when they were featured heavily in New Japan and Ring of Honor, but it wasn't every single week, I was a fan. Same thing with Omega. But I think what that was is you didn't see them often enough to really start seeing, I'm not even going to call it a weakness, but the more annoying aspects of what they do. But now that they're on TV almost every single week, particularly the Bucks, because Kenny at least went away for a while, and then he completely fucked up his return. But even I was happy to see him for like 2 minutes. And then he started talking. And I was like, oh, God. But, yeah, just when... And there's no engaging story, because even when they have a storyline, they make fun of it on air. Like, they give a little wink to the camera every time. It's like, it's not real, remember, folks. And it's like, look, we get it. We know it's not real, but what's some of the best stuff we've seen in AEW over the past year? Well, before CM Punk disappeared for unspecified reasons, wink, wink, is one of the best moments was when MJF was telling Punk that he was a fan. And they had that awesome just in-ring promo. And Punk, and they even ended it, because that was masterfully done, because they set it up for the next week, because they ended with Punk not on the microphone, but with an earshot asking, is that true? Is that true? And then you're like, I want to know if it's true. Like, listen, yeah. we know it's pre-planned, but that magical shit is what happens when there's enough legitimacy, because it stands to reason MJF probably was a CM Punk fan. It's pretty likely that he was, and we know that that's probably true. So when there's just enough real in there to where it starts to blur a little bit, that's when it's just,
yeah.
That's when it's at its best. Which is why a lot of the stuff Dominic Mysterio's doing is so annoying, because they're taking it a little over the top. But I know I'm wrong, because people are eating it up. I don't understand it, but whatever, you know. Because I believed it to a point. I could believe that Dominic feels like he's in his father's shadow. 100%. That's a tale as old as time. But now he's like, I went to prison, mommy. It's... Ugh. Anyway, like I was saying, or like we were saying, rather, I think you're right. I think Judgment Day will win this match, but it will lead to Edge and Finn at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Elimination Chamber.
Well, this is Elimination Chamber. We're talking about Elimination Chamber, and they're going to take this match and end up, I don't know why I've lapsed into like a really bad Vince Russo impression there. Bro. Listen, bro. They're going to WrestleMania, bro. Let's see. What else we got? Well, before we get into the next match, I'm going to tell you about the sponsor of this podcast. Brian, do you ever have trouble sleeping?
No.
Just say yes and we'll move on.
Yes.
Brian, do you also find yourself having strange aches and pains that you know aren't really a cause for concern, but they're just an annoyance, like when you're really grinding at work and your joints are just giving you hell?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I do too, and I'm sure you do too, America. What if I were to tell you there was a place that was conveniently located to all of you people in central and southern Indiana, and you could even order online and get all of the solutions to your minor aches and pains and or possibly insomnia?
Really?
Would you like to know about it, Brian?
I would love to know. Tell me all about it.
Well, by God, I will. OMG CBD, your friends located it. You caught me off guard with that. By the way, that TikTok you said, I've watched it like 800 times. Anyway, our friends at OMG CBD are here to help you out with all of your minor aches and pains, your possible insomnia, and all of your other OMG and CBD needs. Located conveniently at 935 2nd Street in Columbus, Indiana, and online at omgcbd.biz. First link in the description below. The owner, Sasha, will help you figure out exactly what you need and give it to you at an affordable, competitive price. Now, doesn't that sound like a win-win for everybody, Brian?
Yeah.
You said it. So if you're located in Columbus, so if you're located in Columbus, Indiana, go see Sasha at 935 2nd Street, Columbus, or if you're not conveniently located near Columbus, you can visit them at omgcbd.biz and get all of your needs taken care of right there. Brian, are you gonna get some of your CBD needs from OMG CBD?
Yeah.
I knew it. So OMG CBD, once again, first link in the description below. And now back to Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm now starting to like it, and God damn it. It's just like the New Day, man. When they first started doing that, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then it just started to grow on me. So I find myself thinking it now when I just want to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a t-shirt? Because I kind of want to get a t-shirt.
I think he does.
I think there is a t-shirt. Anyway, Brian, you ready for the next match?
Yeah.
For some reason, we got Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at Elimination Chamber.
So before you start that, I watched SmackDown last night. And if any other viewers watched SmackDown last night, the Hit Row was in the ring. The lights hit. Bray Wyatt's music hits. And then on both sides of the apron, one side there's Bray Wyatt, the other side there is Uncle Howdy. They both get in and they attack Hit Row. Bray gets on a mic and says, whoever wins and whoever's the last man alive, he's coming after. So we could be getting a Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar or a Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley at Mania. That's just something I want to throw in there just to kind of mind boggle you a little bit before we start this.
You're probably correct. That would make sense.
It was so random, though, so I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that's my problem with it, because, like, again, it's not going to be a bad match, but it's kind of a why? Like, I get they have
Yes.
history. I get they have history, but kind of drives it home more. Like, why? We've seen this already, and there's not a title on the line. So,
Yes.
I don't know. Like, again, the match will deliver. It'll be all right, but without a reason to really go into it excited. Like, it kind of feels like it's weird because it kind of feels like they needed a match, but these guys are too good to be like a throw-in match.
Who? Brock and Bobby?
Yeah, Brock and Bobby. Great tag team name.
Brock and Bobby. Double Beast.
Brock and Bobby. The almighty beasts.
Yeah.
The Ballad of Brock and Bobby.
At this point, yeah, like, in my opinion, I don't care who wins. I think it's gonna be a good match.
Well, not only do I not care who wins, but it's kind of unimportant who wins. Like, it doesn't really matter. I guess that's my problem with the match, because I don't have on paper Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, good match. But why? And why should I care?
Exactly. Now, I do feel like I said before about the Bray Wyatt promo yesterday, whoever wins, Bray's going to attack.
Yes,
into that match. I can see it.
And they may be setting up for that, which makes sense, although, I mean, you said Hit Row was in the ring.
Then again, I don't know. But then again, I don't know because they announced that there was going to be a Firefly Funhouse next week. But did it say next week Raw or next week SmackDown? And well, Brock can still go between both shows because that's still part of his contract. And Bobby is a Raw exclusive. So maybe that's hitting towards it's going to be Brock that wins.
That would make sense, but there again, why have the match?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be all right, but I'm going to say something controversial. This might be the bathroom match.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. But
maybe.
But now, are you ready for what will, in all likelihood, be the main event?
Yes, let's hear it.
Because we have the tribal chief, the head of the table, the protected, the strong Roman Reigns, defending his undisputed WWE Universal Championship versus Sami Zayne. Ole.
Ole, 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 ole.
I don't know why they were chanting. I don't know why they were chanting that for Sami Zayn. That was El Generico's thing.
I don't know. They've always done that with Sami.
I guess they look alike. Allegedly.
It's a Canada thing.
I don't know.
It's a Canada thing.
I thought El Generico was from Mexico.
I don't know. Probably.
Or was he was he Conexican?
Oh, I'm not sure. My heart says I want Sami Zayn. The fans' heart says they want Sami Zayn. At this point, I still believe it can go both ways.
I don't want Sami Zayn to win, and I will tell you why. Purely selfish reasons. I think for Cody, I think it will be better for him to beat Roman Reigns for the title at WrestleMania. But I also understand what you were saying about how they could possibly get Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania. And one of the ways they can do that is if they get the title off of him at Elimination Chamber. But that just seems so meh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's getting closer and closer. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's enough time to book Roman and Rock for Mania.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
I just, if it was still see it, I just don't think there's enough time to. I don't think there's enough time to book it. Like, as much as we wanted to have it, 3 years now. I just WWE's really booked himself in a corner where they didn't think Sami was going to get this big with the fans,
which is surprising.
And now, like, very, and it's like, what are you going to do? Like, because I think Sami has got Jimmy on his side.
Well, and what they might be doing because here is that this last
not this SmackDown, but the last SmackDown, or it might have been Raw, where he ran into Jimmy. No, it was actually Raw. He ran into Jimmy after the show. It was like it was recorded then, but it was like he ran into him after and asked, like, basically asked if he was with him, and that he acknowledged Jey Uso, or maybe Jimmy, whatever the ones that. Jay.
It was the one whose name starts with a J.
He said that he acknowledged Jay. And I'm like, yeah, one of them Jays. One of the Usos. One that starts with a J and the one that ends with an Uso. One of them Samoans. I just, it's hard to tell, man. I really don't. I don't know what they're going to do.
I think it will be a great match and a great story, but ultimately, I think what they might be doing is they might be sowing the seeds of breaking up the bloodline. So now, this might make complete sense. Because let's be real, with the bloodline, Roman Reigns is essentially unstoppable. However, even against Cody, like Cody can't beat 5 guys. 4 guys. Because Sami's no longer with the bloodline. Now, what this might be doing is this might be breaking up the bloodline. Because you've got at least one of the Usos who's probably going to side with Sami, because they've been planting that seed. Whichever one Uso we're talking about that starts with a J and ends with an Uso. But if you do the math, when you add Cody into that mix, that makes it 3-on-3. No, sorry. That means for the ex-bloodline members versus the still bloodline members, that's 2 versus 2. So yeah, it would be 3-on-3 if you add Cody into the mix and include Roman. So what that does is evens the playing field at WrestleMania. Because you'd have the other Uso and Solo sticking with Roman, but then you have Sami and the Uso whose name starts with J being able to run interference to keep them from dominating on Cody, to make it a fair fight, essentially. And I think that's what they're doing with this Elimination Chamber match. And I think they will do it at Elimination Chamber. And I think that's why Roman's not in an Elimination Chamber match. Again, booking for the story, not the match. Because this is all setting up for WrestleMania.
Exactly.
And I think you will see. I think you'll see the Uso that begins with J officially leave the bloodline and stand with Sami Zayn, but they will be outnumbered because there's an extra Samoan in there. So, but I think you will see the separation.
I don't know.
You were saying?
I was letting you finish.
I was
letting you finish. Oh, okay. Unless Solo does the same thing that I've been thinking, he's going to take out Roman and to help break up the bloodline and something with The Rock, and he just says he did it. He did it for The Rock, like his dad did. It makes sense for Solo to do that, man. It brings the nostalgia back. It brings that like homage back to Rikishi, like you said, some of this shit just books itself.
Yeah, pretty well anytime you have family involved, it's yeah, I mean it's already there. Excuse me for 1 second, my friend. I will be right back. Entertain the audience for us.
Ole, 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 ole. Ole. Oh, I can't sing. Can't sing at all. Entertainment. You want me to sing for you? I can't dance for you right now, but I can talk to you. I'll talk to you. That's what I'm doing now, like through a device, electronic device. You're hearing me through an electronic device. The Roman Reigns Sami Zayn storyline is just so weird. Now he's back.
Sorry, so unprofessional, I know. Just had to make sure somebody got something.
I just sang and I danced to nobody.
What the audience doesn't know is that you were naked and doing the helicopter.
Ooh. Meat flopper?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And we lost all of our fans.
What, the three we had?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
.5 still there.
It's just us now. Yeah. Well, that is Elimination. Well, that's Elimination Chamber. Any thoughts? Any final thoughts?
I think there's going to be a lot of story progression. I think that's what Elimination Chamber's for.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be necessarily who wins, who loses. I think it's a big story progression to lead up for Mania.
100%. And
I think that's what it all boils.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing in this case.
Like in all the matches, you can't say that person's 100% going to win.
Nope. And
every match is like, this person could win, but that person could win too to change this, not necessarily change the story, but like progress the story.
Yeah, 100%. And this is almost a silver lining of the WWE getting away from traditional pay-per-view, because now you don't necessarily have to. It's good and bad, but this is one way it could be viewed as good, because now WWE doesn't have to market for the match. So some of these specials, because let's be real, they're not pay-per-views anymore, they're specials. Some of these specials are simply to advance the storyline. And when the bulk of your business is television, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's weird because I usually, and now here lately this hasn't been the case, but historically, like AEW's pay-per-views have been phenomenal. Now they've started to, which I think that's just that's a byproduct of not booking for the storyline, but at the same time, some of the wow factor starting to melt off because it's almost been 5 years. And I heard some interesting talk from Jim Cornette. The Bucks and Kenny's contracts are coming due soon because they signed 5-year deals, right? And I think a lot of fans out there are thinking that it's a foregone conclusion that they'll be re-signed, but... And he brought up a good point. CM Punk signed a multi-year deal. Now, I'm not sure how long of a deal that was, but the Bucks and Kenny's contracts will be up before Punk's original contract was up. So, I mean, that actually gives... If Tony Khan's goal is to get CM Punk back on AEW television, because he had to heal from injury anyway, so he may have just told him, hey, listen, man... Which this would be a real bitch move on Tony's part, but he might be thinking that, okay, well, I'll just wait, and I'll pretty much tell Kenny and the Bucks that a condition of them re-signing is that they make it okay with Punk, and we get him back on TV, or they can go back to Japan. Because let's face it, WWE won't take him. They don't want him.
I think they would take Kenny, but I don't know if they'd take the Bucks.
They might take Kenny, but I mean, this is Jim Cornette talking, not me. Jim will constantly talk about how Kenny is a self-trained worker, and it shows. Now, I see some of what he's talking about, but he always he criticizes the V-trigger, and I think those most of the time look phenomenal. But I don't know. I'm not a worker. I couldn't tell you. I think they look good, personally. But where was I going with that? I don't know that WWE certainly doesn't need him. And Kenny's done a phenomenal job of whittling down his fan base. So I think New Japan would probably take him back, but
now agreeable.
It's an interesting place that they've put themselves in, because now they need AEW, when before, I wouldn't go so far. AEW needed them at the time when they were first getting it off the ground. But now, I think Kenny and the Bucks especially, but Kenny and the Bucks need AEW, because where else are they going to go?
Yeah.
Like, were they going to go to Impact? I mean, maybe. Impact would take them in a heartbeat, but I don't know, man. It's when he started talking about that, I was like, oh shit, that might be. Now, if that is true, if that is in fact what is happening, that makes Tony Khan like a giant bitch. But I saw Tony Khan tweeted Ariel Helwani on Twitter, and like Tony just perpetually shows what an inner child he is sometimes. He's sitting here calling Ariel Helwani a hack, but like, I actually listened to that podcast, Tony, and I heard Ariel asking you completely logical questions that everybody wants to know, and like a bitch and a coward, you avoided them. But you didn't even creatively avoid them like Paul Heyman would. You just said, I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to tell you what a great show we have. Well, yeah. Because your biggest draw is no longer on television, Tony, and we all know why. Just, I don't know. Did you see that? I sent you that TikTok where, and it was funny because I thought it was legit at first, and then I started thinking it might be fake, and then at the very end, it said this is all fake. It was generated by AI, but it was CM Punk, or it was CM Punk in quotes.
I've seen it.
I just cannot. I want to hear that podcast so bad. But he can't. He's not going to do it on Colt Cabana. And you gotta love how they fought to keep Colt Cabana's job. And like, no disrespect to Colt Cabana. I like Colt Cabana. Not my style of wrestling, but I like and respect Colt Cabana. But you gotta love how they fought to keep Colt Cabana on AEW. And where the fuck is he?
Yeah, where's he at now? Like,
really? Was it worth it? I don't think so. It doesn't. Punk said it perfectly. It's just they're stepping on their own dicks. Like, this isn't even about who you like as a wrestler. This is about common sense. If somebody is making you money, why are you going out of your way to antagonize this person?
Exactly.
For not even doing anything bad. Well, I'm sorry, calling out bullshit when he sees it. And I'm sorry, if CM Punk tells you about wrestling, you got to at least listen if you got half a brain. I mean, anybody, well, almost anybody who's been a WWE champion more than once probably knows what they're talking about to a certain extent. And track record, has CM Punk gone anywhere and not been a top guy at some point per their standards at whatever that organization is?
UFC.
I was talking about pro wrestling, but
you said organization.
Valid. So any pro wrestling organization.
Okay, now I agree with you.
I mean, you can't name one because it doesn't exist. Ring of Honor became a top guy. WWE after that went to ECW, became the ECW champion. Granted, that probably took a little too long, but in spite of Vince McMahon, became ECW champion because the audience was screaming his name. Goes to WWE despite Vince McMahon and Triple H, becomes a top guy there. I mean, AEW, first time they broke a million viewers since the first episode was when CM Punk, when there was a rumor that CM Punk was going to be there. And before anybody in the comments tries to shred me on that, I checked. Because I heard the claim and then I went back and looked. And sure enough, that night was the first time Dynamite broke 1 million viewers since the debut episode. Now, they've broken 1 million since then without Punk there, but I forget which episode that was. But that was the Jay Briscoe tribute.
Yep.
Which, apparently, in other news, apparently Mark Briscoe is now All Elite.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it took his brother dying to make that happen. Which, again, I don't blame Tony for that, because I fully agree with Mr. Cornette that was probably some uppity executive at Discovery. It's Discovery Warner. And whoever that individual or group of individuals are, fuck you. And you robbed us of being able to see one of the best tag teams ever, two of the, apparently, having not met them, but apparently two of the best human beings ever to be in the wrestling industry. Fuck you. I hope you feel incredibly guilty for what you've done. Sorry, not sorry. Just calling it like I see it. But, yeah, I think that'll do it. So Elimination Chamber starts in about, what's that?
15.
About 15 minutes, yeah. So everybody enjoy. I know we will. I actually have another podcast to do, but I hopefully will be able to catch it tonight. If not, I'll just watch it tomorrow. So no spoilers. But the good thing about the WWE shows is they're not too long, unlike some of the AEW pay-per-views. Learned my lesson when I went and saw Double or Nothing at a theater.
9 hours of your life, almost.
Well, not only was it 9 hours, but I also didn't have the option to stop and pick up later, because I paid to be there. It's not like watching it at home where I could have just decided to pick it up in the morning, which I find myself I do with AEW pay-per-views pretty often. Tony, if you find yourself cramming too many things into a pay-per-view, just do more. Do more pay-per-views. Just do more. You got any other thoughts about Elimination Chamber, or should we wrap this puppy up?
I'm good to wrap it up on my part, buddy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Thank you once again for enjoying this episode of Down the Middle. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on your hatred or love for our representation of professional wrestling. And if you prefer to listen to the podcast rather than watch it, you can check it out on the audio streaming platforms, which include but are not limited to Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Audible, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio Public, Spotify, and that's it. And be sure to check out and support our friends at OMG CBD for all of your CBD and OMG needs. Brian, are you ready to watch Elimination Chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah. Until next time, we will see you all in 2 weeks. Enjoy Elimination Chamber, and we will see what happens in wrestling.